The new trailer came out this week.
Mm-hmm.
A full 2.5 minute, 3 minute number kind of one.
Mm-hmm.
The teaser was promising that we got, several months ago. We're 2 months from release, give or take now. This new trailer gives a little bit more of character, a bit more personality, maybe a little bit more of the plot. It still doesn't actually kind of like spell out what the plot of the movie is in terms of villains or anything like that. But it does give us a bit more of some of the topics and themes that Superman's going to be dealing with. But yeah, it gave us a little bit of like some of this idea that Superman's going to be dealing with the idea of like how people react to what he does in a political sense. Like if he goes to somewhere else on the Earth, like and stops a war, as which is brought up in the trailer. How do the political regimes of the world react to that, and do they consider that something that America's done because he's associated with that country? That's like one of the main questions that's brought up. I think the first thing that stuck out to me though, right at the start, because it starts with that scene of Lois saying, "Hey, I can interview you as Superman," and he's like, "Yeah, sure." After she turns on the recorder, he leans forward and says Miss Lane in a way that he wasn't talking in before, and it felt like his voice changed. And I was like, okay, that's a good little sign. I like that. So there's that. And the music was very good. I'll say that as well.
Look, man, as I get older, the more emotional I get, and music can set me off. Every time I've watched this trailer, once the John Williams stuff hits, I have tears running down my face. It's completely involuntary, right? But it's just, again, the power of music. And also, I'm quite enjoying some of the stuff that I'm seeing in the trailer. So that helps as well. But yeah, using the old John Williams score was very smart.
Yeah, but it's not just using it though. It's all reorchestrated. There's like new themes kind of mixed in with it. Like John Murphy, the composer. It's not just him. It's him and someone else. But like they've done like new versions of it. In fact, one of the things that stuck out to me in this trailer is that it really stuck out when they used a little bit that did sound. It's not actually taken from the old movies, but it sounded more like the old movies. There's the moment where Superman's like hit down and the stranger helps him up, and you actually get a little as he helps him up, right? Because all the other stuff, it's using the themes, but it's using them in these very different ways, where there's electric guitars or the drums are doing the rhythm or whatever. It's all new kind of variations on things. But that little moment was like, oh no, every so often we'll slip in something that sounds a little more classic as well. And that kind of hit hard.
And that's the part that gets me every time, too. Once that familiar spot hits, I'm like, oh, man. So, but yeah. You give me the stuff you didn't like real quick first.
I mean, I don't know if there's anything that I've got to complain about. Okay. I mean, I still think it looks a bit like a TV show. So I guess that's still a complaint. It has this kind of, like, I appreciate all the colors, obviously, but it does have that kind of digital TV show look to it. The aspect ratio of doing it in 1:8:5, which is very close to 16:9, kind of adds to that, because it feels like a TV show ratio. But but that was there in the teaser trailer. I'm not that fussed about that. I'm not bothered by it. If I'm into what they're doing and the characters feel right, I'm not going to be mad about that.
Yeah, no. And for the first time, when you talked about him leaning forward and saying Miss Lane, and him losing it as she is doing the full Lois Lane questions. And not giving him time to answer, and he's getting frustrated, and it builds to people were gonna die. I definitely feel like Gunn has a handle on Superman, and what makes him click and tick and all that other stuff. When there's a part in the trailer where it looks like he gets knocked down, and he flies up, and whatever he's facing down, we don't see, but he goes, "Hey, big guy, eyes up here." Again, that felt very classic Superman. But yeah, there's so much in the trailer that I'm like, okay, is this going to be it? Is this going to be the movie I've waited for? The Superman.
The signs are good. I think the thing for me is that it could still fall flat in the end. I mean, I think that maybe the biggest concern that anyone could maybe have right now is that there's too much stuff in it, because it looks like we're juggling Lex, we're juggling like a monster, we're juggling whatever the other villains are that have got superpowers, we're juggling these other heroes that are there as well. We're juggling a lot of stuff seemingly. Now, it may all weave together perfectly. It may not be a problem, but other superhero movies in the past have made that mistake. So it remains to be seen how it's all going to work. But what I will say is that even if it falls flat in terms of like this idea of like prodding at the idea of how Superman fits into the political world, and this idea of him challenging just, you know, what right and wrong is by saying, no, I'm going to save people no matter what. Like, I like that that's being prodded. Now, I think there's a risk that how it's handled in the end might not completely work and might ultimately feel like they had to do a bit of a cop-out at the end or something. But I think that to make this a poignant Superman movie where it feels like it's actually addressing things in the world that need to be addressed, and like Superman kind of needs to exist in some capacity right now, I think it is right to tackle those things. It's just, it remains to be seen until we see the full movie how well it actually tackles them. I love that we're doing it. I just don't know how it you know, ultimately ends up.
It's and you know, James Gunn does have a track record with, you know, maybe not some real time kind of stuff, but he does try to throw some stuff in there. We'll see how adeptly he can handle that. But again, so far, most of the stuff I've seen from him, I've been pleasantly surprised with. And I would never think that that's the guy to tackle Superman. So we'll see. The scene with Pa Kent where they're talking, and then I think it ends with Ma saying, "I'll go get your boots." And then just the way that he stands up and kind of wipes his shirt, Superman. Again, it's giving me good vibes. Like it's feeling like it's hitting the small things just in these trailers. And I still, like you hit on, still don't know what the full story is, which is good. You know, because I feel like nowadays trailers and marketing want to give away everything before you're seated in the theater. And they're just giving us enough. But as a longtime Superman fan, it looks like it's hitting the small things. And to me, that matters a whole lot.
Yeah, it definitely feels possible that for the first time in 45 years, we're getting just an objectively good Superman movie. Because I kind of like 3, don't get me wrong, and I kind of enjoy 4 as a bad movie. Like, I think it's entertaining to watch Nuclear Man and all that other bullshit, but they're not good movies. And certainly Returns is like, it's not good, right? One or two good scenes, but that's about it. The rest of it is ungood. And then, you know, the less said about the Snyder era of the
less said about the other stuff. Yeah. But I just, and I don't want to compare it and stuff, but just the vibes that I get, again, as a Superman fan, it's the guy helping Superman up out of the crater versus shots from the other movies, right? Of Superman hovering over the people. It's just the dynamic's just different. And one feels right and one feels wrong, you know? And I feel like this is more of what feels right. So, and yeah,
I'll phrase it.
Less said about the last stuff, the better.
I'll phrase it in another way, Matt, just to hit this home. This might be the first good Superman movie in your lifetime.
Yeah, no, 100%.
because
100%.
Superman 2 was before either of us were born.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and that's what I told my wife. She goes, "This is going to be the one, finally." I said, fingers crossed, because she's dealt with since. I remember before we were together, we were still talking when Superman Returns came out, and I remember she had messaged me and said, "Yeah, so I heard it's not good. Are you okay?" Right. So that's before we were together. And yeah, and I had a lot of hope in Man of Steel, and that one left me wanting more and less said about the Justice League movies, and the depiction of Superman there. So yeah, this might be the first in a lifetime, and I you know what, I feel like I needs it. As a man that has a Superman tattoo, as a man that grew up watching Lois and Clark and Smallville and reading all the comics, I just want one good big screen Superman. All right, please, like, let me have this. I needs it. So yeah. Also, more crypto. My wife did say, "You have to promise me crypto makes it through the movie." I trust James Gunn. However, I also watched Guardians 3, and there's a lot of trauma in that one. I don't trust him as much as I did. The fact that Crypto is based off of his own rescue dog, I have a good feeling. We also see Crypto punch one of the bad guys. He, flies through, hits him with a paw. I thought was pretty hilarious.
Was that a paw or was that more of a headbutt? I don't know.
Was it? I gotta go back and watch it.
It was pretty quick.
To me, it looked like the paw. It was, yeah.
I think I assumed it was like a bite or like a quick sort of head thing because that's what dogs do. I didn't think a punch sounds silly to me because it is still a dog.
It does. It is, but it just the way that the head goes, it looks like almost like a slap. But I'll have to go and watch the trailer and cry again.
Look,
you know,
I think the chances of Crypto making it through the movie are very high. The chances of Guy Gardner making it through the movie are actually. I mean, I don't think he's necessarily going to die in this movie, but I do think that he could die before we get permanent Green Lantern characters that are going to like carry their own show or movie or whatever.
Do we know if the Lantern show is taking place before this? Because the fact that we have Hal and John, you know,
no, we don't. We don't.
Knowing
know
we're in the timeline, knowing where we're at would make me feel more comfortable saying if Guy's gonna make it. However, if there is one expendable Lantern, the fact that they chose to go with the bowl cut makes me feel like, you know, this might be a punchline, I mean, punch Batman kind of deal.
That's what Connor said last week. They gave him the stupid haircut because he's going to be a quick joke death.
Yeah, or he'll get taken out. I mean, don't forget Max Lord is still in this, right? Played by Sean Gunn. Maybe there's some machinations there as well, and that leads to Guy not being a Lantern or dying or whatever it is. But yeah, just him using a construct to knock people away in the way. Again, another small thing that just felt right, you know. So yeah, and I've heard people complain about the colors and it looks like a TV and whatever. But after everything has gotten so dark, you know, and I don't mean dark, I'm talking like color palette. I'm okay with the big bright colors. I just hope that it feels like a movie and not like a TV show. You know, and that's the kind of risk.
I tried to make this clear before, but you've just said it that way again, so I'm going to reiterate. My complaint is not with the colors. It just looks like a TV show and the type of shooting style that it has that kind of bright, like, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but it looks very digital. It does not look like a cinematic visual from the way it's shot.
Right, and that's what I've seen other people kind of say, and I'm like, well, we'll have to see once we're in the theater, you know, because I feel like the stuff with Lois and Superman in the apartment, right, when they're doing the interview, doesn't feel as bright, you know what I mean, in that kind of shooting style. That feels, maybe it's just because it's more of an intimate scene and stuff, but
that's exactly what it is. It's just obviously not every scene's going to be equally bright, but it's yeah, this is purely a filmmaking thing. This is a critique that comes more from people who talk about movies and it has anything to do with adapting characters or anything like that. And it looks like a bit of a TV show and therefore looks cheaper than it otherwise would feel. Now, that won't matter. I want to make this very clear. If I care about what's going on, that won't matter that much, right? It may be a bit of a shame in some respects because, hey, it could also look like, you know, it could look like a movie, but
right.
But you know, I
mean, this is the same guy that he's done something super low budget like Slither, but Slither didn't look low budget, right? You know, no, but and then he's done these Guardian movies, you know.
Yeah, but Slither was shot on film because that was just the normal thing to do at the time. Right. But I will say I had the same problem with Guardians 3. Guardians 3 looked more like a TV show than a movie. It just had that look to it. So
yeah, this is more of an off thing. I'll pick your brain another time about that with your filmmaking type stuff. Where do you think it's just the process has changed where TV and movies there's so much overlap? It's
just a number of things that are contributing. I mean, the main thing is that it seems like he switched to a new type of like camera for Guardians 3. He seemed to like it because I think he's doing the same kind of thing for Superman, and it just looks more like it looks very high quality, don't get me wrong. It looks like he's shooting like 8K or something stupid like that. But it looks less cinematic than other types of camera. So it is what it is. But
high hopes, man. I also, when we went and saw Thunderbolts while we were on vacation, I found a standalone movie theater. And out here in Vegas, those are far and few between anymore because everything's hooked to a mall or a casino. You know, so we took some time with South Thunderbolts, and I got the little teaser trailer, which I hadn't seen on the big screen yet. And it was the first time I had seen all of that footage on a big screen, and everything looked great. So I think that goes for a long way too. Looking forward to seeing this trailer on the big screen eventually. You know, But yeah, super stoked. The hopes have never been higher. Hopefully, it pays off and I don't fall flat on my face like I have in the past.
Yeah, I've seen the teaser a few times at the cinema. Yeah, which notably had a few different clips versus the one that's online. So I think maybe internationally there's a few different little snippets versus the US version.
I'll have to seek that out then.
I don't know if you can...
I'm sure they're not spoilery bits.
No, it's just a couple of alternate things. Like there's a like the shot of Lex in the teaser is a different shot of Lex, for example. But it's not. I mean, it's nothing that exciting, but it's just.
Gotcha.
I noticed it. I was like, hey, this is weird. Yeah. Why is there different shots? But hey, it is what it is. So I don't know. I'm hopeful the movie's going to be good. It's definitely the most interested I've been in any superhero movie in a long time, like years. Like lots of years. So hopefully it's good. Hopefully it feels like the start of a fresh new wave of DC movies.